Hello and welcome back to the Frugal Granny channel. I'm Frugal Granny and my name's Ali. I'm a 64 and 3/4 year old semi-retiree. I left my main job in an office at the end of June and I'm currently working a part-time job in a supermarket to help fund the gap between now and getting my state pension in July 2027. The whole idea of this channel was to document my journey from the moment I decided the office job was no longer for me until I get my state pension in 2 years' time, and how I creatively managed to earn the funds I need to maintain my standard of living during that period. Today is Coffee and Catch Up 13. And I would like to thank all of you who left such lovely comments on my college reunion video. I'll link that video at the end of this one for those of you who've not seen it. And just in response to that, what I'm going to do on Saturday is have a self-reflective video about the college reunion video, because I think there is something about the retirement journey that makes you stop and look back. We can't always be looking forwards. Sometimes we have to stop and look back, and I just want to sort of unpack that a little bit in a self-reflective video on Saturday. Right, well, today is quite a big day for me because we've got to the end of July. In July, I have been living on my office job salary, my last office job salary. We've now come to the end of that month, and as of August the 1st, I'm cast adrift, so to speak. Not necessarily on a sea of uncertainty, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging because my monthly income is not going to be as guaranteed as it was with a regular income from an office job. So the topic of the video today is to ask whether the buffer fund that I've set up is in place to provide the funds I need for my August living expenses. For those of you that are new or are relatively new, you may not have seen my buffer fund video. Again, along with the college reunion video, I will link that at the end of this video and in the description. And it might be an idea to go back and watch that so that this video makes a little bit more sense. But I will go over some of the ground I've already covered so that this video does basically stand alone in its own right. So what do I mean by a buffer fund? Well, basically, I have multiple streams of income at the moment. Some of them are monthly and some of them are weekly. And all of my utilities and regular outgoings are monthly. And to be honest with you, I cannot hold all those streams of income in my head and continue to sort of manage all these other outgoings and my sinking funds without getting in a terrible muddle. So what I decided to do was to open another current account, and as these income streams came in during the course of a month, the money that I was going to need from those streams would go into this buffer fund and accumulate till the end of the current month, and then there would be a sum of money ready for me to transfer to my main account at the end of that month to provide my living funds for the following month. So in effect, I would be paying myself a salary. Now, when I was in my office job, my net monthly income was about $1,700 a month. And those of you who've been following me for a while will know that I was putting about £400 or £500 a month of that money into a renovation fund, because I have been trying to complete the essential maintenance jobs on the Victorian terrace house that I live in. And that's all now completed. So I don't actually need that £400 or £500 a month anymore. It would be nice to have it, but essentially I don't need it. So what I'm trying to look at the moment to maintain the sinking funds that I have set up is a monthly income of about £1,400. So what I'm trying to do, as my income comes in from these multiple income streams during the month, they're going into the current account called buffer fund, and hopefully by the time I get to the end of the month there will be £1,400 in there that I can move into my main account, and from there I will manage my finances the way I have done for the last decade or so, and I will put money in various sinking funds, hopefully a little bit in savings if I can, and keep some back for my food and discretionary spending. So the big question this month is, did I manage to get enough income to get through August? Well, the answer is yes, just. But I have actually been putting aside money through June and July, so it has taken me 2 months to get to a point where I can survive through August. Now, this is also why I want a buffer fund, because if some of my income streams vary a bit throughout the year, hopefully the any excess that I've got in the buffer fund will make up the deficit in monthly income, so I can have a consistent monthly allowance in my main account. So what are the multiple income streams that are coming into this buffer fund? Well, first of all, I have my supermarket pay. I work 21 3/4 hours in a supermarket every week. Occasionally, I manage to pick up an overtime shift or two. So I know at the moment, with the current rate of pay and my current rate of taxation, that my baseline take-home pay from the supermarket is about £640 a month. I'm hoping in August, once my P45 has been sorted out with HMRC and the second stage of the pay rise that's been given by the supermarket has come through, because that starts on 1st of August, that my monthly income from that job, my net income, may, I hope, go up to about £750, and that would be fantastic. I then have 2 annuities from previous employment jobs in higher education and further education. I call those annuity 1 and annuity 2. And between them, they bring in about £300 a month. Now, I have just spoken to the annuity provider for the job I've just retired from. I have been told that that policy is now live and that I should probably get a payment. They can't give me a date, but probably at the end of August. So I can't really count that money in for this month, but I will be able to count that in for the fund that I'm building up for September. That amount of money is probably going to be another £125. So once things settle down, which they still haven't yet, I should have about £425 a month coming in from annuities, and the 750-ish, I still don't know what the figure will be, from the supermarket. Then obviously I've managed to get monetized on YouTube very quickly, and for that I'm eternally grateful, and I'm really thankful to all of you who've subscribed and who watch and who let the ads run. I really am very grateful, and I cannot deny that part of starting this channel was to help top up my income streams so that I could keep my head above water in the 2 years between now and getting my state pension. And I have been quite open about what YouTube has paid me for the last 2 times, and after the last pay I put money into the buffer fund, and what I'm hoping to be able to do going forward is put £250 a month from YouTube into the buffer fund. That is my aim. Honestly, it's so unpredictable. It could be less, it could be more, but that really is my aim. And if that doesn't happen, then I'm going to have to start trimming the amount of money I put in various sinking funds. And I've had to think about which ones will go first. But at the moment, thankfully, I don't have to cross that bridge. What I would like to do with this buffer fund is have a little bit of surplus every month, and I would like to build that surplus up so that there is actually a buffer in the bottom of the buffer fund. I would like to have £1,400 in that buffer fund that is always there, so that while the current month is building up, there is a month's worth of money in there already waiting for the month that's coming, so that I've got one lot of income coming in and building up, one lot of income sat there ready to go at the end of the month for the month that's coming. And that is how I am trying to iron out the bumps in my income from these multiple income streams. Now, I've put all this in a spreadsheet. I keep track of it in a spreadsheet, and today I'm going to try and show you that spreadsheet. I've edited it, I hope, suitably. I've tried to expand the view and change the font colour so that you can see it. I hope it will work, but if it doesn't, I am going to have to revert back to pen and paper. So let's just go and have a look at the spreadsheet, and I will talk you through where the money has come from to give me the £1,400 that I hope to be living on in August. Right, I've had a go at trying to focus on the spreadsheet on my screen, and it's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photograph of that, and I'm going to try and embed that as a picture within a picture in this video so that you can see it. So I put £200 in from my June supermarket pay, and then £250 went in from YouTube from my June income. Well, that gave me £450. And then those of you who've been following along will know that I had to pay my office job back for 3 days worth of salary because I'd taken leave that they hadn't registered that I'd taken. So I had to pay them back £254.22, which came out of this fund because there was nowhere else for it to come from. And that left me with 195.78. So it's rather like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, to be honest, but managed to recover. The supermarket pay in July, I put aside £640, which, as I've already said, is my baseline income from them at the moment. I put the whole lot in. I'm going to forget about the pence, and I'll just say that that brought it to £835. Then there was a little bit of money spare from overtime in my July supermarket pay, so I put another £50 in to the buffer fund, which brings that up to £885. Then my annuity from my first job in further education came in. That was £176.07. That was the July payment. That comes in on the 21st. So that brought the buffer fund up to £1,061 and a few pennies. Then I rather overshot a bit because of my grandkids visiting and various other things. So I took £13.38 out of this account to just balance things off in my main account, because I have to keep a particular amount of money in that account to maintain the high interest rate I get from the bank. So I actually took out £13.38. So that left me with £1,048.47. So, you know, we're going down a little bit, but we're still in the right ballpark. Then from my June income from YouTube, I've put £300 in the buffer fund. That brought that up to £1,348. So we're getting there. And then there was some money left in Buy Me a Coffee after I had finished paying for the barbecue for the family visit. And thank you again, ever so much for all of those who have bought me a coffee. As you can see, it's helped me give my family a really good time, and it's now actually going to help me a little bit to get through August. So there was £15 there I could move across, and that has brought the total in the buffer fund up to £1,363.47. Then my second annuity from my first job in higher education has still not come through. It's the 30th of June today. It's Wednesday. I'm just recording this ahead of time. It will be aired tomorrow on Thursday. I think it's very possible the annuity won't come in until tomorrow, but I'm just going to hope and pray that it does, and it should be about £135.31, which will bring the buffer fund up to £1,498.78. And then I've got a little bit of money left in the Frugal Granny current account. That's the account I use to manage my YouTube income and my tax and my expenses that are related to YouTube. I think there's about £48.43 left in there at the moment. So I want to make that work harder. So I'm going to take it out of that account, put it in the buffer fund so it doesn't get frittered away. And that brings the buffer fund up to £1,547.21. Now on the 1st of August, I will transfer to my main account £1,400, and that will leave £147.21 in the buffer fund, and that is the beginning of what I would call the sedimentary layer, the buffer within a buffer. So I've actually got to multiply that amount by about 10 to get the level of buffer that I want in my buffer fund. But it's a start, and if I manage to do that every month for 10 months, then my buffer within a buffer will be there. What I'm hoping to do next month is, if I get a back paid annuity from the second job I had in HE, that's the office job I just left, then I will put the back pay into the buffer as well to help bolster that. So hopefully you can see just above me here, if I get things right, a little snapshot of those accounts. So yes, the buffer fund so far is working, but I am going to have to keep pedaling quite hard with overtime at the supermarket and with producing content for you to make sure that I keep my head above water. Now I'm just going to also show you, if I can, again up there, if my video abilities are up to it, what the buffer fund might look like by the end of next month. Just 1 minute. So in August, what I'm really hoping, if the changes with my supermarket pay go as I'm anticipating, I'm hoping I can put about £850 into the buffer fund. So along with the 147 that will already be in there, that will bring that up to 997. My first annuity, £176.07, will bring the buffer fund up to 1173.28. Then hopefully, fingers crossed, there will be enough income from YouTube for me to add another 250. That is really what, as I said, what I'm trying to aim for every month. I mean, it could be more, it could be less. So we'll just have to see what happens. I think all of us are finding at the moment that with YouTube, nothing is predictable. But if I can put £250 in, that will bring the fund up to £1,423.93. So that means that I will have my living expenses for September. Then, hopefully by the end of August, I will have got my office job annuity. And I've spoken to them this morning, and they've said that that has been estimated at £153 gross, which is about £122.40 net at 20% tax. So if I add the August payment to that, then that will bring the total to £1,680.99. And then hopefully there will be a month of back pay to cover July. And that, another 122.40-ish, I still don't know what it's going to be, will bring the fund up to £1,803.39. So when I take the £1,400 out for September, there will be £403.39 left in it, which means I only need to, which means I will then need to try and accrue another £1,000 slowly as I go along to form the sedimentary buffer layer that I always want to keep in that account. So yes, at the moment, in its incipient stages, the buffer fund is working. As I said, I still haven't got annuity 2 in, which is a bit of a worry. I keep logging in and having a look, and it hasn't turned up yet. I'll have another look this afternoon. Sometimes things like that don't come through until banking has closed later in the afternoon and things have resolved themselves in the evening. So it may come in later this evening, it may be there first thing in the morning. Anyway, so I'm really, really pleased about that. Now, the other big question, I suppose, is how am I going to budget that £1,400? I'll try also to go back and link my budgeting for a previous month so that you can see what I used to do. What I used to do is not what I am going to be able to do going forward. Right, so I'm going to try and put that up here again. It'll either be a picture of it written on a notepad or it will be a picture of the spreadsheet. But the first thing that will come out will be my utilities, and I always take out £500 because my utilities account needs that amount of money to go into it every month to function. My car sinking fund will remain at £100 because I need that amount of money to cover my expenses for the year for my car. It has to have its MOT. I'm also going to get a minor service because I don't think it's been serviced for the last 10 years. And I have been told that it needs a new exhaust system. It was growling this month. I took it in for a check. They said it had a hole in it. They stuffed it with silicone. That fell out on my trip to the college union. So I growled all the way up and down the M1 and it's still growling. And they've told me a new exhaust system is going to be £360. But that will come out of my car maintenance sinking fund. But that's why I have to keep putting money in there. Then my annual expenses fund will still get £50. And as I've said before, that covers things like house insurance, chimney sweeping, boiler servicing. And there's another one that it covers that I can't quite remember at the moment, but things that get paid once a year. I also am keeping my tax from my YouTube income in that account because, again, that will be a once a year payment to HMRC when it happens. I've got my firewood sinking fund. I used to top that up from my supermarket salary when I had an office job salary as well, but everything's got to come out of the same pot now. So that £75 will come out of this pot as well. And then the work phone that I provide for one of my adult kids, it's basically my way of supporting his business. That's £50, and that used to come out of my supermarket salary, but again, that's now got to come out of this pot. Then I will still be putting £125 into my emergency fund. I like to keep £1,000 in that emergency fund, but it's taken a big hit over the last few months trying to get the last bits of renovation done. And I think at the moment it's standing at about 600. So until I can get that fund back up to 1,000, I will be putting my regular £125 a month into that. Then I put £40 into my wellbeing sink fund, and that covers things like going to the dentist, the occasional, maybe once a year pedicure. I've got to go and get my eyes tested. I mean, these are supermarket glasses, £7.50 for two. They're not ideal. It was very apparent to me on my drive down south that I actually now need to get glasses that are suitable for driving in. And I did put a post on Instagram this morning saying that my world is beginning to go a bit fuzzy around the edges, and that was not just my memory, it's also this. So I need to get new glasses, and that will come out of my wellbeing fund. So I need to keep putting money in that. And there are other things that would come out of that too. Anything really to do with my well-being, mainly health-related things. Then I'm going to put £100 in my personal savings. My regular viewers will know that the last renovation project cost me about at least £500, if not £678 more than anticipated, for various reasons, and I took that money out of my personal savings. So I think my personal savings at the moment, my accessible personal savings, stand at about £223, which is in this current climate is not an awful lot. So I'm going to try and keep putting £100 a month back in that until I've got that back to a reasonable level as well. Unlike other frugal channels, I don't pay myself my savings first at the moment because I'm not in a position to do so. Once I've got things established and I am in a position to do that, my savings will be up there at the top of the list along with my utilities. Then I will be putting £25 in my repair and replace fund. Regular viewers will know I've recently had to replace my toaster, and I've also this month, which I've not told you about yet, had to buy a wheelbarrow because my neighbour's wheelbarrow has rusted through. I usually borrow that to transport my firewood from the front of the house to the back of the house when it's delivered in August, but I'm not going to be able to borrow that wheelbarrow this year because it's broken. So after 9 years, I've actually got round to investing in my own. I think that was about £25. So when that comes up on my credit card, that money will come out of the repair and replace fund probably. I might even take it out of the firewood sinking fund because it is firewood related. I'll just see how things go when I cross that bridge. Then I still have to pay £19.50 a month for Kitty's regular medications, and then I will be putting £50 a month as usual into the vet fund for any treatment that Kitty might need in an emergency. I'm still paying for Amazon Prime, which is $8.99, because other than YouTube, that's the only television that I watch, and it's also very useful to be able to order things from Amazon. I mean, the wheelbarrow came from Amazon. I've never bought a wheelbarrow off Amazon, but the local hardware stores didn't have one, and those that did, the cost was horrendous, and I really don't want to be spending £60 or £70 on a wheelbarrow. 25 was a lot more acceptable. I mean, even if it doesn't last very long, it's a lot more acceptable. Then I'm still going to be paying £25 a month for petrol, and then £45 a week for food, and £50 discretionary spending. And once I've added all that up, which hopefully you can see here, I'll have £1.51 left. So that's my buffer fund. Yes, it's in place, and that's how I intend to spend it. I'm keeping an eye on the time. I've gone over the 30-minute mark. I know I'm going to edit some of this out, but it's still going to be pretty long. So I'm going to wind this up here. If you've got any questions or comments, please put them below. I'll do my best to answer them. We may end up having a follow-up about this video on Monday, and I will see you again on Saturday. And as I said, we'll probably have a self-reflective about the college reunion, and I'll answer a few other questions that have cropped up in the comments from recent videos. But until then, I hope you have a really good weekend, and it's been really nice to see you again. I'll link various things at the end here, but just now I will show you the sleeping kitty. She does move off this patch in my bed, you know, but every time you see her, she does seem to be here at the moment. Can you hear her snoring? Yeah, there was a little snore just then. I'll just show you the sleeping kitty for your kitty fix, and then I'll say goodbye. Oh, kitty. Always a little stretchy kitty. Oh, you are a stretchy kitty. Oh. Okay, you just say goodbye to everybody now. I'm going to move you over to the left so those little video inserts don't hide your pretty little face. Okay. Oh, that's it. Bye for now.